you may think that this is the Cheesesteak Lounge and we just turned my couch around, but that's not for me to say, to be honest with you. That's not for me to say. Death by Dynasty, we are doing our top 10 running backs, Dynasty running backs. Yeah, honestly, a really hard list to make. If you're on YouTube right now, before we get into it, make sure to subscribe. I know every YouTuber says that, but it really means a lot to us. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers by the NFL season, so go for that. If you're on Spotify, follow us. All of our social medias, I'll pull them up right down here. So we appreciate that for sure. Okay, so we'll just get right into it. My number 10. This one was kind of hard for me. I was going back and forth a little bit, but it's Rhomandre Stevenson for me.
He's at 10 for me.
That's perfect. Let's go. Okay.
I fluctuated too. There's one other guy. Who
Was it Kenneth Walker?
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, Rhomandre Stevenson for me. I mean, we saw what he did last year, and this year, obviously, without Najee Harris, and yeah, I mean, he's a huge body back, so he can be a kind of guy that gets like close to 300 rushing attempts. Like he can be just a workhorse, and yet he got 88 receptions last year too.
His receiving stats, I was amazed when I saw those. That was something I wasn't watching. And I remember last year, I think I might have picked like a prop bet for Rhomandre Stevenson. And I was shocked when I watched that game by how many touches he really gets in that offense. And the fact they had Bijan Robinson and then dropped him because they haven't picked anyone up either. I mean, I guess you got to look at some of the free agents maybe going in there. But even so, it seems like New England is pretty set on him. So I feel very confident if he's on my team.
Yeah, 100%. With Kenneth Walker, the only thing for me, obviously, like the biggest thing was just that they drafted Zach Charbonnet.
Charbonnet's a huge talent. They drafted him in the second round. They drafted him in the second round for a reason. They don't want to get Kenneth Walker to be the workhorse.
Kenneth Walker's situation got worse, and Rhomandre Stevenson's situation got a lot better. So that was pretty much it for me. I think Kenneth Walker might even be a better running back, but yeah, situation.
100%. That's the skill level in Kenneth Walker's there, but just Zach Charbonnet, it's hard to ignore. You mentioned having another draft pick come in, and that's kind of my number 9. I have Etienne at 9. I have a feeling you don't have him in your top 10.
No, he is in my top 10. So I have him at 8. That's good. But yeah, go ahead, talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, so I have Etienne at 9. I think his situation's a little different than Zach Charbonnet. I don't think Tank Bigsby is going to come in and take away that many touches from him. The one thing, I mean, Etienne was in college for 4 years, so he's a little bit older than a lot of the other younger guys as far as NFL players go, but he's so talented. If he gets any sort of improvement in the receptions, he's going to be easily a top 10 talent. I have him on my team too, so it's hard to, obviously I'm going to talk him up a little bit.
And I traded him to you, but I do still think he's a top 10 Dynasty running back.
He's someone I feel confident having on my team, especially as a RB2 for me.
Yeah, the only thing for me about Etienne is, last year he didn't get as many goal line touches. Trevor kind of, had the QB sneak thing going, and they just didn't run the ball with Etienne as much, so I don't know what their plans are for Tank Bigsby, if he's going to take away some of that, but either way, his efficiency last year was insane. He was a top 2 running back when it comes to efficiencies. All right, so my number 9 is Najee Harris. I think Najee Harris right now, I think he's so underrated right now.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. People aren't talking about him enough. There's just other running backs that I have in there, but there's also some, a lot of running backs that people have at the top that I had to slide down, but not out of my top 10, who I think very well could be out of the top 10. But I'm not mad at that. But Najee Harris is very underrated.
I think Najee Harris had such a good rookie year that we saw him decline a little bit last year. But I think that it's because of how good his rookie year was.
Still had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he still had 1,000 yards. His targets were down a little bit, so I don't know if he's not going to necessarily get 90 targets again. But I do see him somewhere in the 60 to 70 target range. I think he'll go up a little bit from there. And same thing, his attempts were down a little bit. I still think Kenny Pickett is gonna need to rely on a running back to check down and things like that. And I just think Kenny Pickett isn't the best quarterback in the world. I think they're going to have to run the ball a good bit. So that's my thoughts on Najee Harris. And he had a foot injury last year too, and that's another reason why he just wasn't as good, because he played through this foot injury all season long. So, and that O-line is a little bit better now as well. So yeah, so Najee Harris, number 9. I mean, he's already proven it 2 years in a row that he can be a great running back.
Yeah, I feel like some fantasy managers who have Najee Harris might be getting a little nervous now just seeing how other people are talking about him. But I'm full, like, if there was an opportunity for me to get Najee Harris, I would 100% do it. I would be very confident having him.
Oh yeah.
But my number 8 here is someone else who's on my team, is Austin Ekeler. In redraft, I think he's a top 3, top 4 player. But for Dynasty, I'm going to have him at 8 purely because he's, I think, 28, 29.
Yeah. And that's why he's not even in my top 10.
But just as far as like his talent, the amount of targets he gets, what he's been able to do, and like on the team where he really doesn't have very much competition at all, and an offense that gets a lot of checkdowns from Herbert, and it's just a high-powered offense in general. He's someone who I love having on my team. I do like Ekeler better than Etienne even in Dynasty, but yeah, Ekeler was someone who I'm really high on. But you want to go on to 7?
Yeah, you already knew my number 8 was Etienne. My number 7 was the RB1 last year, and that's Josh Jacobs. Really, the only reason he's not higher for me is just because of his age.
I have him at 5.
Yeah, I'm at 5. Yeah, I mean,
he's a beast.
He is a beast. Like he
might not play at the start of this year though. That's the thing. He might not.
Okay.
He might hold out.
Because it's contract. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, that's something that's like as like Dynasty, like the value. Yeah. Even if he holds out, the value's there.
But like from what he was saying early in the offseason, like he loves the Raiders. Like he wants to be a Raider. You know, everything like that. So hopefully he plays. But yeah, like an absolute workhorse back. There's not too many of them left in the NFL, but a dude who could just put up absolute numbers. 340 attempts last year, just absolutely insane. We know what he did in fantasy as the RB1, and he's also been, you know, obviously like it's not just like one season breaking out. Like he's had a career of this. He's been top 10 in fantasy before, and so yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. Like when you are a running back who gets that many touches, like you're gonna be great.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I see a lot of people taking Tony Pollard over Josh Jacobs,
which is really the reason why we even
this stemmed from. We might as well say it now. Do not draft Tony Pollard as a top 10 running back. Do not think that he's going to get that much more touches just because Zeke's gone. It's probably going to stay very similar. It's probably hard to hear. I know. His value is not much higher than it was last year, and it just is what it is.
Yeah, like Tony Pollard has never been special to me. Like he is a great running back in the NFL, but like there's a reason that again Zeke led the Cowboys in carries last year, and this is a contract year for him. I don't see them, you know, dishing out a contract with Zeke. They were willing to give him all the money in the world before his contract year even started, and I don't see that happening this offseason. In fact, there's a slight possibility, we're recording this on, July 7th. There's a slight possibility Zeke signs back.
I was just going to say I have a really weird feeling that Zeke's going back to the Cowboys. He's not going to sign anywhere else, and he's just going to go
No
back.
way Jerry's going to leave him out on the streets.
You know he's going back to Dallas. But either way, even if he doesn't, Tony Pollard's value is way too high for what it is. I'm telling you now.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know where that leaves us right now. We were on.
I'll go to my 7.
Wait, yeah. Josh Jacobs was my 7. Yeah.
So the guy I have at 7, I feel like a lot of people have higher, is Gibbs. Jamir Gibbs I have at 7. Yes, he's a great young talent. Obviously, rookies are gonna always have a really high value. One thing I'll say is I feel like more and more in Dynasty, people are taking rookie value and young value way more than actual talent in players who are a little bit older, who can perform just as, like, guaranteed because of their skill level, who have proven it time and time again to perform this season. So if you're winning now, you don't have to spend all your value on someone like Jamir Gibbs, who, yes, he has a lot of potential, and yes, the Lions are saying they're going to use him as a receiver and this and that. But, I mean, like, they had DeAndre Swift. That's a player who they're using out of the backfield a lot, who they're saying they're going to use as a wide receiver. They didn't go to him that much. Until I see Gibbs put a year of talent on the table, there's at least 6 other running backs I would rather have who I know are going to be able to do it. And yes, if I'm a rebuilding team, I want Gibbs every single time. Bring him to me. If I need a running back and I know I'm not winning a championship, I want Gibbs. But right now, if I'm competing for a championship, I'd much rather have someone, even like one.
He's not an RB1 this year, I don't think.
No.
But he is a mid to high end RB2 this year.
100%. In our league, like the guy who had 1-1 also had 1-4 and 1-6, and he got Jamir Gibbs, and that's an amazing pick right there. But for someone who's trying to win a championship, I'm trying to get even like a later pick, like Austin Ekeler or like Josh Jacobs, the players that we've already mentioned, over Jamir Gibbs.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of feel the same way as you, because I have trouble putting a rookie in my top 5. Like, I just need to see them, and I know that like next year he could be in my top 3. Who knows? Like,
absolutely.
But like right now, I know that the whole point of this is looking ahead, but I just can't look ahead until I see him in the NFL. So I do have him at 6. But like, I do love his skill set, and I do like the perfect scenario is that he's like the next Alvin Kamara, basically, because he does have the ability to catch the ball. He is not a workhorse back. He's going to need to catch the ball in order to be successful in the NFL.
And like you said, and I mentioned before too, is just because they're young in Dynasty doesn't mean you need them. You don't need all young players in Dynasty. If you can win now, don't worry about having young players. Yeah. Yes, if you can get them at the end of the season or when you know that you may not be able to compete anymore, get them. But it's not as important as just having skill on your team in general. So we said you're 6, so I'll go to my 6. Jonathan Taylor is who I have at 6. He's someone who I think a lot of people have him in their top 3, top 4.
Yep, I'm one of them.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor is someone who if outside of his, second year when he went crazy.
Yeah, he was like absolutely insane, but yeah.
And that's why he's as high as he is. If he even had 1,000 yards that year, he would be around 10, maybe even.
But he had 2,000 yards that year.
I know.
And I know we had a conversation about Deebo Samuel, but Jonathan Taylor isn't just a 1-year thing. He's had another 1,000-yard year before.
The other thing that makes me nervous is having Anthony Richardson on the team. I think that's going to take away a lot of like touchdown potential, some of the rushing too with it. But Jonathan Taylor is just someone who I got so off-put from last year. And even he got injured at the end of the last year.
Yeah, he was injured a little bit,
but
before that, early in the season it was really awful. I in 2 redraft leagues, I had him I had the first overall pick just out of luck. I had the first overall pick in 2 redraft leagues, and I was like, I'm stupid if I don't draft Jonathan Taylor.
Easy pick.
But knowing that I drafted him twice in 2 redraft leagues, I was like, he's gonna get injured. He's gonna be bad. I knew it was coming. Not really. I just have no faith in my own luck, I guess. But but I will say, as somebody who is 24 years old and who has finished as a top 5 running back in half PPR twice, I gotta put him into the top 5. I have him at number 2.
Wow, yeah. I have him at 6. It's not like I don't think he's gonna be good.
Yeah, you still think he's a top 10 running back, obviously, for sure.
I think I'm just like really off put by the season. It's like I kind of just want to see like a little more, like a glimpse of it. Like if he comes out like first 2 weeks of the season and puts up 100 yards and a touchdown, I'd be like, okay, put him in the top 3 again. Yeah. All right, you said my
you did your number 5. All right, so my number 5 is Saquon Barkley.
I have him at 4.
Okay. So we still have a lot of the similar thought processes. I mean, he's proven the bounce back year last year because we didn't know if it was going to be like he'll never be the same. I still don't think he's at the level that he was coming into the NFL. Maybe he'll never get back to that level. But we've seen that he can now be a top 5 running back. He can have that great efficiency. Maybe he did kind of tail off a little bit at the end of the year, but regardless, I saw enough out of him last year to know that he's got it, and I still think that offense needs him. Like, he's still going to be the core of that offense. So
that's what it is. Like, that Giants offense is Saquon Barkley. Like, it doesn't work without Saquon Barkley. They're going to get him involved every single game. He's going to get his touches. And I will say I was a little surprised. I thought he was going to have a couple like more breakout years, but he really just teeters around that like 1,200, 11. Mm-hmm. But he does get a lot of touchdowns, which in fantasy for running backs, touchdowns are so crucial. I mean, look at Jamal Williams, finished as like RB, like 9 or something. just purely off touches inside the 20-yard line. Saquon's going to get you touchdowns, going to get touches every single game, and a lot of them. I think you can't go wrong with Saquon there, especially a lot of different rankings that I saw had him at like 7 or 8, and just like someone who's like so consistent when he's healthy, I don't see how it can be that low.
All right, so you have him at number 4, right?
Yep.
All right, my number 4, I kind of had struggled with this one too. Like I almost wanted to put him a little bit lower, but Breece Hall.
It's like going one. I just one ahead of
you. So you put him a little bit higher. I struggled. I mean,
we had Taylor and Breece split. Basically.
The only reason that I struggled with Breece Hall a little bit is simply just because we saw a small sample size, and in that small sample size, he was great. But obviously, like a pretty bad injury. There's worse injuries because I guess like his tear was clean. It wasn't like he blew up his whole entire knee, so it's not like a J.K. Dobbins type that's gonna really take 2 years to get back. I guess that's it, but I still see him starting out the season a little bit slow, and like just knee injuries with running backs is just always tough for me. But regardless, like I think before his injury, he was like 2nd in the league in targets for running backs.
So many touches, it was ridiculous,
yeah.
And that's why I'm so high on him. And I do think he's gonna come back from that injury. All right, like if he starts the season slow, I would say don't panic at all. It's bound to happen with players. I will say I'm way more nervous about Javonte Williams' injury, which is why I have him nowhere near my top 10.
Like he's another running back. Like I think he blew up his whole entire knee. Like it's not the same.
But Breece Hall is someone who he just gets so many touches in that offense, especially now with Aaron Rodgers in there. That's going to be a completely different offense. They have so many weapons. I just feel like that's going to be one of those. It's like a Kansas City Junior, where it's just like so many points fantasy-wise to go around, and he's gonna be one of those main pieces. And I really think he's gonna be that guy. And he's like 21, 22? He's so young.
I can check on. I always like to look up birthdays. To be honest with you, I will say what their age will be when the season starts, but I'll just say he's 22. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
And that's so young for someone who's already played a year. Most players. Like, even players who leave after 2 years are at least 22 at, like, their first year. And he's going to his 2nd year, and at this moment, I think he's 21.
Yeah. The only other thing that kind of caught me a little bit off guard is just, like, Dalvin Cook. Like, he is, like, the Jets are the 2nd highest odds to get Dalvin Cook. I don't know really what that means. I don't know if there's reports within the NFL that they want him or whatever. It's always tough to say, but like it's just rumors. It's just smoke at this point. And I don't think Dalvin's going to go there. I think the Dolphins are probably leading the chase in that now. But I don't know. It just kind of made me wonder.
I think Dolphins are a way more likely pick. I think if Dalvin Cook does, this is completely off topic from top 10 running backs, but if Dalvin Cook does go to the Jets, then I think Dalvin Cook is almost unplayable in fantasy. I think there's opportunities for Dalvin Cook to go somewhere and he can be a legitimate RB2, but I also think there's locations where he goes where he becomes like a bench player.
I don't think that Dalvin Cook, the Dolphins, he probably would be the RB1 there, but like I don't think he would go to the Jets and become the RB1, but he would just take some touches away.
Yeah, absolutely not RB1. I think he would almost become like every 2 downs type back. Like Breece Hall gets 2 downs or two drives, and then Cook gets
a little rest. All right, so that was your number 3.
Yeah.
My number 4. Okay, so my number 3 is the one and only Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey.
Got him at 2.
All right.
You're literally just one ahead of me on all of these.
Listen. Christian McCaffrey, the only he's 27 years old. I actually think I probably had him at 2, and I switched him around a little bit, but I mean, it's Christian McCaffrey.
What is there to say? If you're playing fantasy football, you know about Christian McCaffrey. What can we say? Like
he's the 101 in redraft probably, or at least you might go wide receiver. He's the number 1 running back in redraft for sure. He's obviously gets the touches. I actually think as good as he was last year to finish top 2, I think that he may even have a better season this season with a full year with the 49ers. That situation for him is so much better than his previous situation with the Panthers.
Yeah, and like the first 3 games he was on the Niners, I remember them saying they were basically just running like high school offenses for him. Like he didn't know the playbook at all. They were just telling him what direction to run and just using basic plays. So in that offense, we constantly say that their offense is so good. I don't like a lot of the players as individuals on that for fantasy.
Yeah, if you're a 49ers fan, fight with us in the comments.
But CMC is like, if you have him, like you're set there. As long as he doesn't get injured, which I feel like his injury concern isn't really what a lot of people make it out to be. He had like 1 or 2 years.
He had 2 years where he was injured. That sucks, but he's past it now.
Yeah, he's proven that he's back from that many a time.
There are few running backs that get to this age and you can still be confident that they are still a lead back, that they're still a top back in the NFL. He's one of them. I expect him to be a top 10 running back for the next 3 years.
I agree with that.
I'm
really interested to see who you have at 2 because I think you've named all my players besides who I have at 1. So whoever you have at 2, I don't have in my top 10.
I think I said who I had at 2.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, you already said Jonathan Taylor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It's right here. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say if you have someone at 2 who's not even in my top 10, that's crazy.
Actually, it'll probably be a full screen. I don't think I'm gonna be able to put our rankings down the middle. But also, real side note: how many NFL fans turn on this video, see that flag, and just turn it off immediately?
They're like, all right, this is not credible source. So we already know this.
Eagles fans.
That whole Tony Pollard thing is just going around like all of Cowboys Twitter right now for sure.
Yeah, for real.
So we have the same 1-1.
Yeah.
I had a feeling we would.
There's no other person you could possibly put at the best running back for Dynasty right now.
Tier of their own.
Tier of their own, for real. He is what everybody knew and thought of what Saquon was going to be coming out. He's the best running back prospect since Saquon. It's Bijan Robinson, easily. I
think he's 1-1 for me in redraft too. I think I'm going 1-1. I'm taking Bijan.
I don't hate that decision. Okay, so if you were 102, who are you taking? I'm just curious.
Well, Bijan's off the table at 1.
Yeah, Bijan's off the table, let's say.
If it's not a super flex, probably going.
Not a super flex redraft.
I'd flip between Chase and Jefferson.
Okay, so you would still go wide receiver over. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, unless it's super flex, I'm not going quarterback until late.
Cause I go back and forth on is Christian McCaffrey my 1-1? Bijan's probably a top 5 pick in redraft for me. But is Christian McCaffrey my 1-1 or is it Jonathan Taylor / Jahmyr Chase? I would make that decision. But.
Yeah, for me it's like what I said earlier is I feel like more and more that running back strategy isn't as beneficial in fantasy as it used to be. A lot of it because the NFL offense.
You're saying you're drafting a running back 101.
I know, but he's one who's gonna catch passes. It's different. Like CMC, like Bijan, like I said, tier of his own. Mm-hmm. But I think CMC is with Jahmyr Chase, with Justin Jefferson.
Especially with their age.
Yeah. I think very well they're right there, even in redraft, just because back in the day it's running backs were gonna get theirs. Now not so much. A receiver like Justin Jefferson, I feel just as confident to score as much as CMC any given week. But that's not what it was before. And especially now, there's for sure elite wide receivers, and then there's a big drop off once you get out of top 10, 12, and that's what running backs used to be. So I almost feel like receivers, if there's running backs late who are gonna get you touches. So many offenses now are going to that 2-3 running backs. They have the pass catching running backs. Look at Jerick McKinnon. He's 31 years old and he was a great flex option in fantasy last year. So if you have Justin Jefferson and AJ Brown, and then you have Jerick McKinnon as your flex, I'm happy with that. You get Isaiah Pacheco, talking about Chiefs players. You get any of these mid-tier guys for running backs who you can pass up on to get these elite receivers. You're just guaranteed so many targets and touchdowns. I feel like receivers are the touchdown machines now.
Yeah. So AJ Brown is how old is AJ Brown?
25.
He's 26 years old, but even a 26, 20, I would never, if I'm rebuilding / even starting to compete, I would never trade for, I don't want to say never, but there's few 26-year-old running backs that I would trade for. I would
not as much as I would give up for a receiver.
Yeah, there's plenty of 26-year-old receivers that I would trade for that I know I'll have solid play for the next 4 years. So running back is I'm winning this year at the trade deadline. I'm gonna give up all my assets for Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, those kind of guys.
Yeah, I traded Derrick Henry last year when I was I have no shot at winning a championship. Same type of thing, but that's honestly probably the biggest point of all is just the fact in Dynasty especially is the wide receiver range to play is so much higher than running backs. Running backs probably have the smallest out of all the skilled positions. So it's just, obviously there's outliers, but it's just a position that if you're not winning now, you're probably not going to have them when you are winning.
Yeah, 100%. Remember, make sure to buy our merchandise. We'll have that link in the description. Yep, there you can see it. Yeah, this is the same one, right?
Yeah,
it's the same one, just different colors. So, that's our top 10 ranking. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are we missing out on anybody?
Don't say Tony Pollard. Don't say Tony Pollard.
Don't say Tony Pollard. All right, Death by Dynasty. We'll catch you next time. Peace out.